page 9. Ready? Om Gati Gati Aragati Arasam Gati Bodhi Swahatyata Om Gati Gati Okay, so now the question is, what we did this morning was find out how to activate this, the mind, like the wisdom. So there was wisdom as the final remedy to overcome the ignorance. And this wisdom, we should keep in mind that the knowing that the ignorance, it has the subtlest form, the counter force, the wisdom must be also in the subtlest form. And the subtlest form of the wisdom is constituted of two things, subtlest object and the subtlest subject. So, to know the subtlest object, we need to know what is the subtlest reality. The subtlest reality is known as the object of clear light. So this is one thing that we need to know. Another one is the subject. The subject must be the subtlest. The wisdom in the form of the subject, in the form of the mind, it must be subtlest. So the subtlest version of this mind is known as the subject of clear light. So we need to activate this subtlest clear light of the mind and to realize the ultimate reality, the object of clear light, and then bring the unity of the two. So that becomes the subtlest and the most powerful remedy to overcome the mental defilements. So with that, we see that the defilements can be got rid of fully, and the Buddha nature, like removing the dirt, remove the soil from the gold, then the gold comes out glowing. The Buddha nature comes out glowing. At that point, you are known as enlightened one, and you are not going to be affected by any external factors, because the stains, which serves as one of the factors, internal factor, is removed. And then however vicious, however forceful external factors you encounter with, it is like the sound of the one hand, sound of climb of one hand. The sound stops. So all our misery stops. And then, because of this experience, with this experience, then you know how to help others. You know how to help others, to help them by teaching them how to get rid of the internal factor of the self-grasp, the ignorance. Okay, so yesterday we were doing this, how to activate the subject of clear light. As a part of that, yesterday we were initially, to activate this subtlest clear light, it is the mind. We have to be aware of this mind. For this, the first thing that we did was to separate the sensory consciousness and the mental consciousness. Okay, now those of you who were absent yesterday, pay more attention to this. This is the technical part. Okay, so first we have to learn how to separate the sensory consciousness and the mental consciousness, right? So how do we do that is, for example, say, if I look at the flower directly here, if you look at the flower here, so it's the eye consciousness which is so active. Now while my eye consciousness is looking at it, if I think of my father, or if I think of the Buddha, so my eyes are not seeing the Buddha, it is my mental consciousness which is being activated, right? So this is how we need to learn how to separate the mental consciousness and the sensory consciousness. What is visible to the five senses, they are the sensory, the sensory objects and the direct sense consciousnesses, ear sense consciousness, nose sense consciousness, eye sense consciousness, so forth. They are the five sensory consciousness. And while the five sensory consciousnesses, they are there, but there's also the sixth, which is mental consciousness. For example, I'm looking at you, but my mind may be thinking about something else, Tibet. And my mind may be thinking about my teacher, right? So there, my eye consciousness has nothing to do with seeing my teacher, but it's my mental consciousness, which is perceiving, or which is the thinking about my teacher. So that is mental consciousness. Of the two, sensory consciousness and mental consciousness, slowly we have to acquire a skill whereby we just look at, your eyes are wide open, look at other things, but in mental consciousness you can deviate the mental consciousness wherever you like. You can deviate the mental consciousness to focus on the breath, to focus on the Buddha image, to focus on your own mind, and so forth. This is the first step that we have to do, separating the sensory consciousness and mental consciousness. Okay, yesterday we were doing the 6 points. What is the second point? Grasping or apprehending the mental consciousness. Now, once you're able to separate the two, how to get hold of this mental consciousness? Because mental consciousness, when you speak about the purity of the mind, when you speak about cleansing the mind of the mental departments, it is to cleanse the mental consciousness, not the sensory consciousness. Once you remove the stains from the mental consciousness, sensory consciousness, they are automatically cleansed. So the mental consciousness is what we have to employ. So therefore we have to apprehend or grab this mental consciousness. How to grab that is first, we were thinking about awareness, same. I am aware, I know that I'm meditating. What are you doing? I'm meditating. Although your eyes are, say 45 degrees cast down on the books, or the flower, or whatever object they might be there, your eyes are there, but your mental consciousness is thinking differently from what your eyes are seeing. So mental consciousness is taking first step, very first step is, what am I doing? I'm meditating. Okay, who's meditating? I. And who knows that you are meditating? I. So we see that object is the I, and the subject is also the I. So the same self, the self is the object as well as the subject. Okay, there is the self, being aware of the self. One. Now the next, from there you go to that your body is not meditating, it is your mental consciousness meditating. Okay, and your mental consciousness, I'm aware that my mental consciousness is meditating. Who's aware? My mental consciousness is aware. My body is not aware. My mental consciousness is aware that my mental consciousness is meditating. So, mental consciousness, my mind becomes the object, my mind becomes the subject. Number two. First we started with the I. Now we switch it to we go deeper into the consciousness. But my mind is aware that my mind is meditating. So object is your mind, and subject is your mind. Object is the mind, subject is mind. Mind and awareness, these two are synonymous. Now we switch. Awareness, my awareness is aware of my own awareness. This is known as awareness of awareness. You getting it? Okay. Now when you do that, still you will not, yes, I'm aware. I'm aware of my own awareness. Whatever is coming to your eyes, you just ignore them. You're simply thinking inside that I'm aware, that my mind is aware of my own awareness. Right? But still, you do not get, what is this awareness that I'm aware of? Awareness is object. What is it like? You still don't get it. Okay, this is a very challenging part. This is a very challenging part, right? It's at the moment, awareness that we feel, the awareness of the mind that we feel, it is like, say, the ocean with a very rough ocean with rough waves that you see from the sky, from the aeroplane. When you see from the aeroplane, the ocean with a very rough wave, what do you see? Blue ocean or white? White, right? So there you don't see the real color of the ocean. It's just the whitish thing that you see. Likewise, when you observe this, yes, I'm aware of my own awareness. When you observe this, right, it is the real mind it does not come to you. Just a very vague thing that comes to you. Yes, I'm aware of my own awareness. It comes, but the real mind does not come to you. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. When you say
Apprehending. Apprehending means to know. No. Okay. Now, the next thing is very important. What exactly is this mind that I'm aware of? What exactly is this awareness which I'm aware of? What exactly is this awareness? Right? Okay. This is very technical now. So particularly those of you who are missing yesterday, pay attention. And those of you who are present yesterday, you also pay attention to this. Okay. Now, what exactly is this mind which I'm aware of? What exactly is this my life? This was the question I asked to my teacher, Venerable Gyanamripa, when I was a student, maybe like 25, 30 years ago. I asked this question to him, and then he was a full-fledged meditator. And he responded as in a very simple way. Dorji, don't you see this mind? This is like a mirror where anything can be reflected. He just said like this, and I still was looking, where is this mirror-like thing? I could not see it. Right? Okay, this is a challenge. Now, how can we get there? This is where this practice, there's no harm. There's no harm in us learning about it, but to practice it, you must make sure that you get a very clear, say, instruction. One. Number two, the point, if you remember what I said earlier, one is that for example, the meditation of the breath, which we did this morning, that you must give some degree of expertise in this meditation. One. Number two, you must have some understanding of, comprehensive understanding of the Buddhist psychology. Number two. Number three, you must have the emptiness experience a little bit. Only when you have these three things intact, you can do this practice in its totality. Whereas this meditation has two parts. One is to activate the objective clear light. Other one is to realize one is to activate the subjective clear light, and the other one is to realize the objective clear light. Okay, if you simply want to activate the subjective clear light, this is not the full Mahamudra. Oftentimes people think that this is a full Mahamudra. This is wrong. Oftentimes people think that this is a full Mahamudra. With this, just by this practice, will take you to enlightenment. This is not true. Keep this in mind. This is only halfway through. It is just a subjective clear light. Now this subjective clear light must come in union with the objective clear light. It must come in union with the objective clear light. Only then it becomes the full story of the enlightenment. Okay, for that matter, there are two things. Just for the sake of activating this subjective clear light, what we require is, one is the experience of the breathing meditation. Experience of the breathing meditation, some experience, some command, stability of the experience must be there. Number two, you must have good knowledge of the Buddhist psychology. And if you are really keen on this, we have the study Buddhist psychology materials are there, recordings are there, all available. Easily, if you look for the materials, you will get them. Right? If you're interested, let me know. I will give you the links. Okay. So, and then on top of it, if you want to have the totality of this practice of the Mahamudra, the total Mahamudra, then the subject clear light, for which the breathing meditation exercise, the meditation, plus the Buddhist psychology combined together, then activating the subject clear light, and then to unite this with objective clear light, we need to have the experience of emptiness. Right? Okay. With these three things intact, then you are entitled to go for the complete practice of the Mahamudra. Whereas, okay, for time I will say like this. Now to go into this first part, activating the subjective clear light. Now we are going to more technicalities. Okay. First, what is this mind? What is this mind? What is this mind? This mind, the mind is the one which drives all our actions, which drives us into happiness, which drives us into miseries. The mind is the one which does it. The Buddha said that the mind precedes all phenomena. If with a pure mind one acts or speaks, happiness will follow like a cart following the ox. The mind precedes all phenomena. If with the impure mind one acts or speaks, miseries will follow you like the shadow following the person. Right? This is what the Buddha said in the Dhammapad. So with that mind is so precious, one is so important. But the question, what is that mind? This is what today's neuroscience. Today's neuroscientists, many of them, they have some clue, but they don't speak. The moment we go to speak about the mind, then at the moment they are being kicked out. They are being sacked out from the main domain of the neuroscience. Neuroscience, they speak about just the brain, the neurons, and the neurotransmitters. Right? Okay. What is this mind? Only if you practice this, then you will know what mind is. And then you will see that this mind is very different from the brain. And then on that basis, you can then account for the reincarnation. On that basis. With this experience of the mind, different from the brain, only then you can account for the reincarnation concept. Okay. So for that matter, what is this mind? The mind is defined. The mind is defined as clear and knowing. Clear and knowing. Mind is defined as clear and knowing. Now, what we are doing is not just to know it intellectually. How can we experience it? We have to experience it. The mind is always active within me. But what is that mind which is so active? I don't see it. How to see this mind? This is the question. Okay, for that matter, sit upright. Okay, yesterday what are you doing? Unlike the other lectures, this requires real attention, because something you miss, even a little part, you're going to miss a lot. Okay, but you don't have to sit with the cross-legged. Cross-legged, you may start having the pain, and then your distraction, you will lose attention. Okay, sit whichever way is more comfortable, but make sure that your body is upright. Right? Body is upright. Okay, and don't close your eyes. Don't close your eyes. Okay. Right? Look up. Look up. Okay. Now, the mind is defined as clear and knowing. Clear and knowing. Now, the first part, clear, clarity. Clarity, this clarity, it has two connotations. In Tibetan, it is known as sel. In Tibetan, clear and knowing means sel shing rikpa. Sel shing rikpa. Sel means clarity. Shing is and, rikpa is awareness. Clear and knowing, clear and awareness, or clear and knowing. Now the first part, clarity, sel, it has two connotations. One is the clarity as in pureness, purity. Clarity as purity. Other one's clarity in the context of luminosity. Clarity has two connotations. One is in the form of purity, other in the form of luminosity. Luminosity too. Okay, now to experience that, what we do is that first we visualize. You visualize a very beautiful, say a very beautiful rose flower, or any flower that you encounter with, rose flower, or what jasmine, or what buttercups, or whatever flower which is appealing to you. Just visualize that flower in front of you. Right? Your eyes are open, 4 5 degrees cast down, and you visualize this flower. Can you do this now? Don't close your eyes. Can you do it? Do it. Okay. Okay, now look up. Look at me. Keep looking at me. Listen. Okay. What you have visualized this very beautiful flower, right? Now Is this a flower or this is the image of a flower? This is not a flower, it's the image of a flower. To have an image of a flower on the mirror, mirror must be very clear. You agree with me or not? If the mirror is very dusty, image cannot be formed. You getting it? To see the image there, to have the image formed on the mirror, mirror must be very clear and pure. You agree with me or not? Likewise, there's the image of the flower formed on the surface. What surface we don't know, but it formed. The image is formed. There's a surface there on which the image is formed. So that surface must be very clean, very clear. If it is not clean, this image cannot be formed. Like the image which cannot be formed on the mirror if the mirror is dusty. Likewise, that surface must be very clean. That surface on which the image is formed is known as your mind. The surface on which the image of the flower is formed is your mind, and this mind has the characteristics of the clarity. The clarity, purity. It must be free of all the dirts. It must be clear. Without the clarity, image cannot be formed. You agree with me or not? One, clarity, Tibetan word cell, it has two connotations. What's the second connotation? Luminosity. Luminosity. Now, let's see that, say for example, say at this moment, what is in my hand? A flower. Imagine it is total dark. Imagine this total dark, midnight, no light, no moonlight, no the electric light. And then in the dark, if I raise my hand like this, what is my hand? What will you say? We can't see, right? We can't see. Why you can't see the flower? Because there is no source of light. Okay. Now that you have created this image of the flower. What flower did you imagine? A rose flower? Rose flower? A nice rose flower, dull or a beautiful bright flower? Bright. Okay. Let's say bright rose flower. Bright rose flower. So you see that this bright rose flower appears to your mind. So there must be a luminosity there. With the external flower, without the luminosity, without the light, you cannot see this flower. Likewise, the flower that comes to your mind, even that without the light, source of light, it cannot appear. The image cannot be created. For the image to be created, there must be a source of light. That source of light is known as the luminosity. That light is not external light, it's internal light. It's the light of your own mind. And this is not something that we have to imagine, it's a reality. It's a reality that the image is formed. For the image to be formed, there should be two things. One is that the screen on which the image is formed, it must be clear. Clarity is there. On top of that, there must be a source of light to illuminate this object. It is not external light, it's a mental light. It's the internal light, light of the mind. So the mind is luminous. The mind is luminous and it is clear. Okay, two. Now what is the second part of the definition? Knowing, awareness. Knowing, awareness. Awareness of the knowing. Okay, the mirror, while the image is formed, you say, if I have the mirror, and then in a mirror, image of the tree is formed. Does the mirror know that the image is formed on it? Does the mirror know that image is formed on it? No. But this mind that we have, the mind which is like the mirror, on which the image is formed, not only that the image is formed, the mind knows that the image is formed. Do you know that the image is formed in your mind? What in your mind knows that? What in you knows that? Your mind or your body? Your mind knows that. So your mind has the characteristic of the luminosity and also has the characteristic of the awareness, that you are aware that the image is formed in your mind. You getting it? Okay, so the mind that we are looking for, the mental consciousness that we are looking for, it is not external tangible objects. It does not have an external color. It does not have external shape. It does not have the tangibility. It does not have the concreteness. But it is in the form of experience. It is in the form of experience characterized by luminosity, clarity combined together, plus awareness, knowing. You getting it? So that is your mind. That is your mind. Now the next question is, okay, I have to look at it and try to see that, yes, my mental consciousness, my mind is really luminous, has a luminosity and awareness. It is really like that. How do we do that? Okay, theoretically I already explained it. Now we have to experience it. For that matter, okay, now sit upright. For that matter, now what we do is that, again, don't close your eyes. Particularly for this meditation, I'm pleading you. For this meditation, for the awareness meditation, I'm pleading you, don't close your eyes. It's very, very dangerous. Unlike the breathing meditation, unlike the analytical meditation, this meditation, don't close your eyes. Right? It's very dangerous. And if you want to know how dangerous it is, then you will not meditate on it. It's very dangerous. Don't do the meditation with this meditation with eyes closed. Only when you become expert in this meditation, then you will gain a conviction as to when to do the meditation with eyes closed, eyes open, you will know. Otherwise, till you reach that level of the expertise, don't do the meditation with eyes closed. You getting it? Okay. Now, what we do is that again you do the same thing. 45 degrees cast down, your eyes half open. Visualize the flower there. Visualize flower there. Visualize flower. Don't close your eyes. I still see people closing their eyes. Don't close your eyes. Don't. Initially it's difficult. Don't close your eyes. Try your best. Visualize a beautiful red rose in front of you. Just parallel to your forehead or the mid-brow. Parallel to the mid-brow, like arm's length distance, you visualize the flower, the very beautiful red rose flower. Okay, so now follow the instruction. Follow the instruction. Just keep meditating. Follow the instruction. So this beautiful red flower, is the image. It's not a red flower. It's the image of the flower. To have this image, there must be a screen on which the image is formed. That screen is none other than your own mind. Okay, be confident with this. Now, this screen must be very clear. Without the clarity, with the very dusty mirror, where the surface is not clear, the image cannot be formed. Whereas in your case, image is so well formed, which means the screen must be very clean. The mind must be very clean. Mind must be very clean in the sense, it must be very clear. The clarity is there. On top of that, to have this, to see an external flower, we need a source of light. Likewise, to see the internal mental flower, we need the internal light. So this internal light is coming from nowhere other than the mind itself. So this mind also has the quality of the luminosity. Okay. Now, unlike the mirror, where the image is formed, but is incapable of knowing that the image is formed, whereas this mirror of the mind, it has the capacity to have the image formed on it, plus it is aware, it has the capacity to be aware that the image is formed on it. Awareness is also there, yes. That is your mind, clear and knowing, clear and awareness. Stay there, sit in this awareness for a while. Okay, now slowly ignore the flower and try to look at this surface on which the image of the flower is formed, to see what that screen is like, screen on which the image is formed, that screen which is none other than your mind. Try to see what this screen is like. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes. Just try to observe, keep observing this, keep observing this. Okay, come out of the meditation. Come out of the meditation and tell me, what did you see? Don't speak anything outside what we are discussing. Don't speak anything outside of what we're discussing. Just feel still, just tell me, what did you see? When you try to observe what the screen is like, what did you see? Anyone who likes to share experience? Yes, over there?
Very strong sense of me, very aware, very alive.
No, what I'm saying is, what you're saying is the subject side. Now we are seeing the mind as our object, right? Mind is the object on which the image is formed. What is that screen on which the image is formed? What is that screen like? When you watch it, keep watching it, what did you see?
I saw a very shimmering kind of white.
Okay, shimmering white screen. Okay, good. White screen, anyone else?
I saw pixelated.
Okay, pixelated thing. Maybe you are more into the photos on the computer, these things.
I actually could see myself stand outside and look at a mirror.
Okay.
And see the image of flower on the mirror and mirrors being bright. So,
Okay, my question is, okay, you got it right. Now slowly our job is, we have to articulate, right? Articulate in a thought, articulate in our words. The question is, just whatever external things coming, right? Just ignore all these things. Just visualize them. The flower, your job is the flower and the screen on which the flower image is formed. Huh? No, the rose is not a real rose, it's the image of a rose. Image of a rose means image. Image, for an image to be created, there must be a screen. There must be a surface. Surface on which the image is formed. Huh? So, what you see as the colorless surface, you saw a colorless one. That is the screen that we are talking about. You saw a colorless screen, and others saw a white screen.
Fading color of flower. Color of flower fading.
Color of the flower spreading.
Fading.
Fading. So when the flower when the flower appears to mind, you think about the clarity and the knowing. Once that is done, ignore the flower, right? Whether the flower's there, not there, just ignore it. And then look at the screen. What is that screen like? You're getting it? Okay, so most of you come to a very similar answer. Most of you say it is like a whitish, shimmering, whitish, or then in some cases colorless, or whatever is the case. It doesn't matter. So the point is, okay, let's see what we do is, just give the answer to my question, right? Is there anything else outside that? We can discuss later. Okay, now the point is that you visualize the flower, and the thing is that the flower, in order for it's not a real flower, it's a image of the flower. Image of the flower means there must be a surface on which the image is formed. Image of the flower on the mirror, there must be a surface of the mirror. Without the surface of the mirror, the image cannot be formed. Likewise, there must be internal surface. It's not external surface. It's the internal surface on which the image is formed. So now the question is, what is that internal surface on which the image is formed? That we have to observe. You getting it? Okay, by observing this, my question is, what did you see? Okay, let's do this again. Sit up. Sit properly. Okay, visualize a very beautiful flower, very beautiful red rose flower. Just follow the instruction. Don't be impatient. Just follow the instruction. Don't just jump to what you should be doing. Just follow the instruction. Visualize this beautiful red rose flower in front of you. like at the distant arm's length distance. Okay, so for this is not a real flower. This is not a real flower, it's the mental image of the flower. For an image of the flower to be formed on the mirror, there must be a surface of the mirror on which the image is formed. Likewise, there must be image here on which there must be surface on which the image of the flower appears. That surface is none other than your own mind. Stay there. Now this surface, it should be very clear. The clear in knowing, the definition of the mind, the clear in knowing, it must be very clear. It is not clear. If it is not clear, like a very dusty mirror, image cannot be formed on the mirror. Likewise, this surface, which is mind, on which the image of the flower appears, this surface must be very clear for the image to be. The fact that the image is formed means the surface on which the image is formed is very clear. One, the clarity. On top of that, the luminosity. To see the external flower, there must be external light source. Likewise, to see the internal flower, image of the flower, there must be the light source for this image to appear to a mind. So this light source is none other than the internal light source. It's not external light source. This light is not coming from anywhere else. It's a mental light, mental luminosity. So this is one of the characteristics of the mind to be clear and luminous. One aspect. Combined together is one aspect. Now the second one, knowing. Clear and knowing. Now, unlike the mirror, where the image is formed, but the mirror doesn't know that the image is formed on it. Unlike that, this mind, where the image is formed, it also knows that the image is formed on it. Okay, this is known as the mind having the characteristic of the awareness. So this thing, the agent, which has these two attributes, clarity and knowing, this is your mind. Stay there for a while. Now, having already known the two characteristics of the mind, we try to really see, experientially see what this mind is like. Slowly ignore the flower, ignore the image, focus on the screen, the surface on which the image is formed, which is none other than your mind. Just try to observe that, try to see what the surface is like. Stay there for a few seconds, a few minutes. Be patient, be patient. Don't expect that you're going to see something very tangible thing there. Just keep observing it. Don't try to construct, don't try to impose anything there. Just try to observe what you see. It can be something very fragile. It can be something very insignificant. It can be something so significant we never know. Just keep observing it objectively. You are not to subjectively impose anything. Just observe what is the objectively. Meanwhile, never close your eyes. I still see people closing your eyes. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, tell me, what did you see? Anyone? Yes?
I'm finding it very hard to keep the flower even place, the picture of the flower. It's really difficult to keep it there. But I'm still getting a little distracted by everything else.
Okay, so keeping all these things aside, say the problems that you have, which is not to do with the Mahamudra practice, this is something we should already have experience beforehand. This is a part of the, as I said earlier, first part is the meditation on the breath. We need to gain some command over control of the two errors, mental scattering, right? So that we have to exercise. Otherwise, right? Otherwise tell me, what did you see? It could be very brief and then your mind is distracted. It could be very brief and then your mind may be distracted or in a relaxed state, or you just see the in front of the paper. It doesn't matter. Just see outside these things. What did you see? Like water. Wavy.
I can't really see anything, but maybe it's just a very thin layer of transparent surface.
Okay, let's say can't see anything, just a very thin layer of surface. Very good. Anything else? Like a light coming. Okay, light is not the surface. I'm talking. So say these things can happen. The light coming and so forth. Just ignore these things. I'm asking, what is the surface line? Right? Say, I ask you to say, look at the thanga. Just see what is the thanga like. And from the thanga, you may be very highly realized. And because of the thanga may start talking to you. And the thanga may start giving you gift to you. From the thanga, right? I'm not talking what gift you are receiving from the thanga. I'm asking what is the thanga like. All these things can happen. Ignore all these things. Just observe. Right? Okay, this is so important. Light coming to you. Just ignore all these things, unwanted things coming. Ignore all these things. What you should be doing, that is what you should be doing. Just observe what is that screen like. Anything else coming, like lights coming, or you say your thought, and other thoughts are coming, Buddha coming, and so forth. Right? Just ignore all these things. Just keep observing what is that surface like. Okay, anyone else? Yes, Archana?
It is a little hazy, but it seems to have some depth. Like it's not
Okay, the haziness is there, a little depth is there. Very good. Yes.
It felt like a mirage.
Okay, like a mirage. How? Okay, like a mirage.
Yeah, but when the flower was there, then the flower went away. But
No, don't remove it. Ignore and remove. These two are different. Right? Say, okay, let's say the flower is in front of us now, and it's between me and Giri. The flower is in between me and Giri. I can ignore the flower and I can focus on Giri. And I can ignore Giri and I can focus on the flower. Can you do that? Right? Okay. Don't remove the flower. Don't remove the flower. Keep the flower there. Just ignore it and observe what is the surface like. Right? Only if the flower is there, then the surface makes sense. Right? Okay. Anyone else?
Transparent. Transparent.
It is seen as transparent. Yes?
For me, it is just a 3D flower. I could not think of it superimposed on the screen.
Okay.
For me, it was
If it is a 3D flower,
yes.
then you look at the sides. What is the side like?
I didn't think about that.
No, this is what you should be doing. Just ignore the flower and look at the sides. What are the sides like? Yeah, Anubhavaji? Hard, something hard. Okay, so look, why I'm asking this question to as many people is because experiences can be as varied. You're getting it? So, and the same person having the experience today can differ from what you would experience tomorrow, right? It can change. It can change so often. So therefore, this is one part. You're getting it? This one part. Okay, now listen. Now listen. In the process of this, you're observing the screen light. Sometimes it can be very discouraging. Sometimes it can be very discouraging. You are not going to see anything. Say, my eyes are there on the floor because you don't see anything there. Then your mind will follow the tendency. Your mind will follow the eye consciousness. So what is visible to your eyes is going to be perceived by your mental consciousness. This is so discouraging sometimes. You getting it? Okay, still. And you may think that, okay, so this I think will be stopped if I close your eyes. If you do that, it's even more dangerous. Never do this meditation with eyes closed. Initially, it's not going to be easy. If it is easy, by now, all beings are enlightened. Right? By now, no sentient beings will be left. Right? Okay, so therefore, this is going to be difficult, but you will succeed if you follow the instructions properly. Okay, now the next thing is why? Right? Initially, sometimes it could be like a, say, milkish white. Sometimes it can be like, say, like there's a little bit of depth there, some haziness, right? And some it could be very expansive. All these experiences come, and then you keep doing this, and then it may go down. It may go down to make you so discouraged that I don't see anything. It's just what my eyes are seeing. It could be so discouraging at times. Just continue to do the practice, and if it does take you to such a level of discouragement, then what we do is that while you still like this, once in a while you can bring the flower. Once again, you bring the flower, and then you tell yourself, this flower is not real flower, but this is a mental image. This mental image, 100%, it is not on the external object. It is something internal, right? So what is that internal like? Then slowly, okay, this is very important. Then slowly, you will see that this image is formed on the surface, which is very subtle phenomena, not like tangible object, not like by a tangible screen, not like a solid screen. It's a very subtle phenomena, which is what we usually never think about. Subtle phenomena. Slowly you tend to see a very subtle phenomena there, which is, as some people describe, like sometimes like the water, the fluid, the very clear fluid, sometimes like, let's say, the whitish thing like this. But no doubt this image is formed. Image is not formed by an external object, it is formed somewhere. Where is that? Then slowly you will see what? You will slowly see something which is subtler than what we usually interact with. Right? Okay, you are getting somewhere. Still, this is not the full story. Okay, now the job is imagine that there is a very subtle screen. There's a very subtle glass, very clear, crystal clear glass between you and me. And you don't know that there's this glass between you and me, right? And say you want to touch my face, then you stretch your arms, and then something blocks you. You're getting it? What will you do? When something blocks you, what will you do? Huh? No, you are in a very decent meeting. You cannot move it like this. You are in a very decent meeting, very decent. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is there, Lama Subarbu is there, all are there. You cannot do like this. Right?
Imagine the screen's not there.
No. Something is there, you have to do that. First you will try to see what is that thing blocking me. You don't see what is there. And imagine your mind is so turbulent at that point because you heard so many bad news, tragic news, these things. Your mind is so in a turbulent state. And with this turbulent state of mind, can you imagine to see what is there? When will you see this thing, what is between you and me? When you see that more clearly, when your mind is calm, or when your mind is in a turbulent state? With the turbulent state, you will never see what is there, right? With the turbulent state, you will never see what is there. So, for example, If you want to see a very tiny, tiny details of the painting, what you do, you look like this. Can you see it? You can never see it. What should you do? You sit and you just remain motionless and keep concentrating it. Keep concentrating. Then you will slowly see the nuances inside. You will see these subtleties inside only by concentration. Right? Okay. Likewise, just keep observing and be very patient. If you are impatient, expecting to see a mind, a miracle object, being very impatient, you will never see what the mind is. We should be very patient. We should be very patient. Just keep observing this. And then if you, sometimes, right, despite sitting for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, still you are not seeing anything, you are just seeing the flower, the paper, whatever is in front of you, then once in a while you can bring back the flower, mental flower. Bring back it, bring back that, and then see what is there. What is that surface on which the image is flower, image is formed. It's not external object, it's not external surface, it's something internal. What is that? Then slowly, just keep observing it. Don't try to impose. Don't try to fabricate that there must be something there. Just keep observing. It can be space. It can be non-space. Whatever it is, let me see it. Let me not impose. Just keep observing with such a patience and rigor. Just keep observing it. What you will see, sometimes kind of experience that you can possibly get is that, say you are in the water. You are in a water tank and you don't know that you are in a water tank because your body temperature and the water temperature, these two are the same. How do you know that? When will you know that you are in the water? Huh? When you move, then you will feel the pressure, right? You cannot move freely as you do in the empty space. So then you will see the pressure. So likewise, once in a while with this observing, you will feel the jerk. You will feel the jerk. Jerk because of this space, not the external space, internal space of the mind. You could feel the jerk. So there you get a sense that yes, there is something there. It's not just totally empty. There's something there. Because it is so subtle. Mind is so subtle. And we are so addicted to seeing solid things. Yes, no? We are so addicted to seeing solid things. For example, say for your lunch, what amount of salt do you take? 5 mm? Hey, anyone who is from medical?
Very little.
Okay, let's say very little. Let's say 10 units. Whatever, I don't know what that unit is. Let's say 10 units. And whereas there's another person who takes 100 units of salt every lunch. Now, if you give the food with 5 units salt in that lunch, what will this person taste? No salt. You're getting it? Don't you have the experience?
Yeah.
If you don't have the experience, try it. Right? Okay. The person who said there's no salt there. For that person, 0 salt and 5% salt is same. Whereas those people who always take very little salt all the time, that person could see the difference between 0 salt and 1% salt, 2% salt, 5% salt. The person can see the difference. Why? Because the person is used to seeing the subtle one. Whereas the person who takes 100 units of salt every lunch is so gross that cannot see the nuances, subtleties. Likewise, our mind is like taking 100 units of salt every day, seeing everything is so solid. Yes, no? Look around. Do you see the space or do you see the object, solid object there? While the space and the solid both are there, but your mind goes towards a solid object. Right? So our mind is addicted to seeing solid things all the time. Whereas the mind is not solid. It's very subtle. It's very subtle. It is subtler than the space that we are seeing between us. It is subtler. So for that, to see that subtle object, one should be more concentrated, or in a very haste you can see it. one should be more concentrated. You're getting it? This extremely important instruction to keep in mind. That one should be patient. One should be patient. Just keep observing. Meanwhile, don't close your eyes. Because the object is so subtle, the mind is so subtle, and you close your eyes, automatically the laxity sinks in. Laxity sinks in. Right? Lethargy sinks in. And then you automatically go into sleep. And it's very dangerous. So there, just keep observing the mind. Keep observing the mind. Right? Okay. Now with this mind, whether you have seen or you have not seen, right? This mind, which has the quality of clarity and knowing, clear knowing, this is the one which you should be aware of. Yes, I'm aware, my mind is aware of my own mind. Where the object is my mind, subject is my mind. So this mind, where the object and subject is both the same thing, this is the one which has the clear and knowing aspect. And what is that thing? This is where the image of the flower is formed, that surface on which the image of the flower is formed. What is that like? So your job is keep observing it. Keep observing the screen, the surface on which the image is formed. Okay. Now what sometimes through persistent practice, okay, just don't do the practice now, just listen to me. This is so important. Sometimes it will give a sense of elation to you. It will give a sense of joy in you that, yes, I've seen this mind which is so subtle. Say, you come to sense that what I'm experiencing in the usual days, times, is all very gross. Now what I'm seeing is very subtle, which in words I cannot express. And the most what I can say is subtle. It's not tangible. It does not have external colors. It does not have external shapes. It is so subtle, which normal consciousness, normal person cannot really see it. It's only through this perseverance, with patience, with the technicalities that I engage myself in, then I start seeing this. Okay. Now, what we do is that we should be really very patient. And oftentimes, what can happen is that with the advertisement of the iPhone 8 Plus, what happens? It shows what? The main mobile, say the main mobile, and then the glass is taken out, right? Glass is taken out. What is the color of this glass like? Transparent, clear, colorless, right? But you could see something. You could see something, right? In the advertisement, when it's taken out, you can see something which is colorless, yet you see something. Likewise, a very similar experience will come to you. That, say, I'm observing, say when you see, for example, say, I'm supposed to see the space between me and Giri, I see Giri, right? Instead of seeing the space, I see Giri. Because Giri is much grosser than the space. So whenever we try to observe the mind is so subtle, and then whatever object comes to the mind, that becomes visible, not the mind. Okay. Now with this practice, sometimes what happens is that the image that is formed on your mind, from there, like the glass coming out, peeled off, which is colorless, that being removed, that comes to your mind. That image is one thing, and from there, the mind, which is very clear, comes out, right? And so like coming out from that image form, that experience can come, right? And it may take time to reach to that level of experience, right? If it happens, then you will have a sense of joy. Yes, now I'm seeing something so subtle. This is the reality. It's not at all tangible. It is not at all concrete. It's not something solid. It does not have color. It does not have shape. It does not have concreteness. This is so subtle, and yet it's so beautiful, amazing, so subtle, amazing. Okay. Still keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Then, right? Then, again, this experience can disappear. Again, back to what Square one or what? Square root one? Square one. Back to square one. Again you start seeing everything like the external thing. Whatever your eyes are seeing, you don't see. These things can happen. Be patient. Be patient, right? And then invoking the blessings of the lineage gurus, blessings of Buddhist Bodhisattvas, they are so important under this issue. And then as the preliminaries, I suggest you to make sure that read this text, what is taught there as a part of the preliminary teachings, that must be followed so that this experience can become more and more stable. One. Okay. Now the next point is that when you do this, say, okay, yesterday we had these 6 points. What's the first one? Separating the sensory consciousness and the mental consciousness. What's number 2? Grabbing or apprehending the mental consciousness. Number 3?
Awareness of the awareness.
Awareness of the awareness, that I'm aware of my own awareness. What is that awareness like? Just maintain this experience. Okay, next.
Abiding in the awareness.
Abiding in this awareness, the awareness. Okay, now abiding in this awareness, the awareness. Okay, so important. Don't close your eyes. Again, I'm reiterating this point. Don't close your eyes. Just try to abide in this experience. So there, when you abide in this experience, right? One thing that you need to keep in mind is that thoughts can arise. Any thought can arise to disturb you. Any thoughts can arise. So there, one should keep in mind 3 things. 1, stop ruminating over the past events. Stop ruminating over the past memories. Stop anticipating for the future events. Disengage yourself from the 5 sensory objects. Disengage yourself from the 5 sensory objects. Your eyes, what your eyes are seeing, just don't engage yourself with the hearing, with the smell, with the taste, with the bodily texture and so forth. Disengage yourself from the 5 sensory objects. Okay, let me say this again. Stop ruminating over the past memories. Don't entertain the past memories. Stop ruminating over the past memories. Stop anticipating for the future events. Disengage yourself from the 5 sensory objects and be in the present moment. Be in the present moment, just observing your mind. Be in the present moment, just observing your mind with eyes open. Right? Okay. In the process, thoughts can arise. Any thoughts can arise. Any thoughts can arise. And how the thoughts can arise, it can be so deceptive. Right? And the thoughts will start chatting with you. Thoughts will start chatting with you. And how? For example, say you're meditating. And then the thoughts will come to you and say that, hey Dorji, you're doing a wonderful job, amazing meditation. And then you say, yes, you're already swayed by the thoughts. You're already bullied by the thoughts. When you say yes, you're already swayed by the thoughts. And then you say, let these thoughts arise. Let these thoughts arise. Right? 3 things. Don't ruminate over the past memories. Don't anticipate for the future events. Disengage from the 5 sensory objects. Be in the present moment. Be in the present moment. Okay. In the process, should any thought arise, don't chase after the thoughts. Don't chase after the thoughts. No, reject the thoughts. Don't chase after the thoughts. No, reject the thoughts. Simply observe your mind. Keep observing your mind. Right? Keep observing your mind. Don't chase after the thoughts. don't reject the thoughts. Why? Okay, how many of you have this experience? But the mothers should have that experience. Say the child wants your attention. What will the child do? Child wants your attention. What will the child do? Child will try to pull you here, right? Pull you here. First we'll try to just, hey mom, and then if you ignore, then we'll slowly try to pull you from the left hand. And if you say, don't do it, the child has accomplished his job. The child wants your attention and you're giving attention now. You say, don't do it. To whom you are saying, don't do it? To the child. Which means you have already given the attention. Right? So now, if you pull from the left hand, you just ignore. Then the child will pull from the left hand. Ignore. Right? Then slowly what will the child do? Child will give up. Right? Okay. So now, if you say, don't do it, you try to stop the thoughts, this is the success of the thoughts. What stops the thought is the next thought. Right? You are entertaining the thoughts. You are entertaining more thoughts. So what we do is just like observing the child and ignoring the child. Right? Let the child pulls you from the left hand, just let him pull. Right hand, let him pull. Slowly the child will give up. Right? This is how we are not to chase after the thoughts. This is how we are not to reject the thoughts. One. Another example given, very popular example given in the Mahamudra teachings is the bird. The bird on a ship in the middle of the ocean. The bird in the cage. In the cage, what will the bird try to do? Will try to escape from the cage. You agree with me or not? Now, what do? You let go of the bird. You let go of the bird. What is the first reaction of the bird? So happy! I'm freed now. The bird what will the bird do? Stay in another corner of the ship, or will fly? Will fly. And flying where? In the ocean. It's huge. So the bird will feel tired. So where should the bird land? There's no place to land. The bird will come back to the ship and land there. Let the bird fly and the bird will automatically come back. Likewise, the thoughts, when they arise, let them arise. They will come back and dissolve. Right? So don't chase after the thoughts. Don't say, hey bird, you should not go away. Right? Let him go away. And he'll come back and sit calm. You don't have to tell anything. Right? It would be better than putting him in the cage. Right? Okay, so this is how the thoughts are under control. Okay, this is what we should be doing. That requires patience and alertness. Okay, now one thing which is very important that I'd like to share with you is that in this practice, okay, say, okay, you tell me the difference. What am I doing? You tell me the difference. What am I doing? Hey, what am I doing? My right hand holding my left hand, right? Okay. Do you see difference? A and B. Do you see difference? Do you see any difference? My right hand when holding it, do you see difference?
Even left hand holding right hand.
No, there's no difference. Moment 1 and moment 2. Difference means there should be two things to compare, right? And what are the two things? Without me telling you, you cannot create. I'm the one who's asking. So therefore, when I say difference, I have in my mind the two things. These two things you cannot speculate. You have to ask me, what are the two things? Only then you can say there's a difference, no difference. Okay, difference between two moments. First moment, I say moment A, then I'll say moment B. Okay. Moment A. No. Moment A, you cannot see any difference. When I say difference means you have to observe both. Then during the third moment, you have to tell me the difference. Moment A. Moment B. Tell me what's the difference. Okay.
You age it by a moment.
No.
No, there's no difference.
Okay. Say give me something which is sensible. Other things which we already know before this class, don't bring them here. Bring something which is related to this class. Okay, now this is Tendralakam. Okay, I will do the same thing to him, right? Then you observe, and Tendra, you also observe, right? Okay, moment A, you are seeing this. Moment B, you are seeing this.
Holding him tighter, second moment.
Huh?
Second moment you are holding him tighter.
No? Huh? Okay, listen. Look. Moment A, moment B. What's the difference?
No
Time is not
difference.
same.
No, this is something which we know long before. There's no difference? What's the difference? Which one? Moment A is tight. Moment B was loose. You do not see difference, right?
She said.
No, she said moment A is loose and B is tight. Here moment A is tight and B is loose, right? The point is why I'm saying, listen. The point is, I'm asking him, I'm not saying it myself. Moment A is what? Tight. Moment B is loose, right? This is his experience. He sensed it, you did not sense it. Likewise, say our mind, when we're observing the mind, to see the difference between, say, the mind observing the mind. Okay, now then you can go back. To see the difference between the mind observing the mind and the mind in a form of, say, the relax, in a form of sleep, in a form of unconscious state, right? Totally just lost. And the mind being very alert, observing the mind. Other people cannot see the difference. Experientially, there's like stark contrast between the two, where your mind is just relaxed, energy is not consumed. Where your mind is observing the mind, so much energy is consumed. You getting it? Say driving, two drivers. One driving in a very open lane where there's no car at all other than your car for like 20 kilometers, and it's a wide highway, wide road, highway, only your car, and another, so many cars cutting Bangalore traffic, right? Bikes cut like this, and yet you are driving at the same speed as the other driver in the open, the free, empty lane, right? Same. If you simply isolate all others from this driver in this busy traffic, all the other things deleted, just that the driver, you capture the driver with the what? With the camera, and the driver in the open lane with the camera, right? Okay, both are holding the steering. What difference do you see? Okay, say somebody who does not have a facial difference, then you don't see the difference. But inside there is a tremendous difference. Which of the two drivers energy is consumed more? The one who is in the traffic. It's so exhausting to drive in a very terrible traffic, right? It's so exhausting and so much energy is consumed. But he doesn't do anything, right? He's just sitting in the car, holding the steering, same thing. But so much energy consumed because of the concentration. You getting it? Likewise, say when your mind is just relaxed, like this, not thinking of anything, and being aware of your own mind. From outside there's no difference. Within you there's a stark contrast. So therefore, say like the example which we did, holding tightly and loose. The loose is when your mind is not focused on the mind, right? You can lose the object, it becomes so loose. When it's tight, you got this mind still there, right? Okay, so this is the difference. In other words, the point is that Your mind must be so aware of your own mind. There must be awareness there. There must be awareness there. There must be alertness there. There must be freshness there. Whereas, if you start seeing the flower there, flower in front of me, like this, with the mental consciousness, then slowly my mind will become lax. You're getting the freshness, awareness, all will disappear. Now the question is, if I'm to meditate like this, and then suddenly the mind doesn't become visible to me, it disappears. And then only what my eyes are seeing, they become visible to my mental consciousness. What should I do under such a situation? Where you can become very desperate, what should I do? So the greatest tip that we should keep in mind, the greatest instruction, the tip that we should keep in mind is tell yourself, what are you doing? I'm meditating. My mind is meditating. I'm aware that my mind is meditating. Right? When you say this, my mind is meditating. I'm aware that my mind is meditating. When you say this, the flower will not be as visible to your mental consciousness. So your mind, the focus will move from the flower to the mind. My mind is meditating. You're getting it? So this awareness, yes, I'm aware that my mind is meditating. I'm aware, right? This awareness of what? Of your own mind. That can easily be brought to you. When that comes to you, try to abide in this experience. Try to abide in this experience. At times you can become very desperate. It can be so discouraging that nothing is better. I would meditate the image of the Buddha rather than this. It becomes so empty, nothing is there. In such situation, you have to go back to ask what I'm doing. I'm meditating. Yes, I am aware. I as a subject am aware that I as an object is meditating. My mind as a subject is aware of my mind as meditating. Right? So just bring this experience. When you bring this experience, again, you see that, yes, at least I'm doing something which is more than simply the mind become empty. My mind is not empty. My mind has a subject there, as a topic, as an object there. Okay, once in a while, again you can bring the flower. Again you can bring the flower. Or say somebody who you have a feeling of affinity, closeness, like a mother, like she told in the Dalai Lama, like this. Bring this figure once in a while, not so often. Once in a while, when the image is formed, then you see what is that, the surface on which the image is formed. That is none other than the mind. Again, that the subtle object will come to you. Why that disappears? Because we are looking for something very concrete. And the mind is very subtle, so it disappears. Right? Slowly, then say, even while you are talking to other people, you can still observe your mind very easily. We are talking to other people, right? And you, as long as the person does not ask you questions, for you have to respond. If the other person is busy talking to someone else, you have to be part of that. Good luck for you, right? This is the best time. Then you pretend as though like you are taking part in it. You observe, yes, like this. Actually, you are moving, just observing inside. You're meditating, right? Okay, this is one thing. Now the point is to sustain this experience of the awareness, right? So there, any thoughts can arise, and the thoughts can take you for a tour. Your thoughts can take you on tour, amazing tour, amazing, right? For example, let's say this is, for example, how it begins is that, hey Dorji, right? You are meditating, and then slowly it slides down into the distraction, slowly, in a very non-visible, obvious way. And then the thoughts will start chatting with you. Dorji, you are doing amazing meditation. And then you say, no, I know you, what you're saying. No, I'm not, I will ignore you. I'm just observing the mind. You just keep observing the mind. Then the thought will say, amazing, this is what you should be doing. You are doing correctly. Right? And then if you say, yes, I'm doing the correct, you already taken away. Then it will take another story. It will create another story. Then it will take you to, in a very non-obvious way, it will take you to a different layers of story. Then it will take you to a very gross story. You are still unaware that you are distracted, right? And then after like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you are aware. Oh no, I'm not meditating, my mind is also distracted, right? Okay, so this is how it happens. And then again you sit. No, now any thought come, I will not entertain them, right? I'll just not follow. I'll not just follow. And then the thought will say, wow, this is how you should be doing it. Okay, continue doing like this, right? And then you don't say anything. Okay, now I know you are fooling me. No, I'm reserving mind. Wow. And then this thought will create a picture of another person. Tell another person, look, Dorji, he's doing so good. This is how you should be doing. Look at Dorji. It's an amazing example, right? And then you say, I will not be distracted. And the thought will tell you that, Dorji, is this not the right way? Do it. Tell him. And you say, yes. Again, you're already taken away on tour. How the thought distracts us, right? Okay. And then worse still, say, you're like this. Then you feel like, say, clearing your thought. When you clear a thought, there should be the thought process wanting to clear the thought, which is very different from the mind aware of the mind, right? Even that can distract you, but that is a very subtle part. Then later on, you will also discover, say for example, say this, what is the difference between, on the surface, what difference do you see in terms of the color and in terms of the material of this finger and this finger? What's the difference? Same. So you see the thought process, we see as though like everything is just the same. There's no thought process actually. Yes, there is a thought. Thought is hidden beneath. You see that the movements are happening. These are not identical movements, they are different movements, which means different thoughts are there. So in your mind, you see the mind is so, as somebody said, that is a very evenly distributed, say, water flow, evenly distributed white thing. It's not evenly distributed beneath. There are so many thoughts there, right? These surfaced by the waves of the thoughts, as even thoughts. Inside there are numerous thought processes. Okay, initially when you do this practice, more thoughts may arise more than when you're not meditating. Then it can be very discouraging. If that happens, if you get a feeling that more thoughts are coming to you than when you are not meditating, don't give up. This is a very important indication, which means that you have already started the journey. It is like, say, when you're fighting with your enemy, when you are relaxed, right? Your enemy will also relax, and when you build your strength, then the enemy will become even more active to fight with you. Now the thought process, when you try to subdue them, that thought process, they become more active. So this indication that you are actually in the process. Very good. Okay, so in this process now, let's say this is water, this is your mind, and I put some dust in it, I stir it, and it's not clear. You're getting it? So the mind, awareness that we are seeing now, it is like the polluted water, right? Now, what should I do? If this polluted water, if I want to see the purity of the water, what should I do? Okay, you have no other facilities, no filter, nothing, no facilities. What should you do now?
Let it settle for some time.
Let it settle. How to let it settle?
Just keep it.
Leave it as it is. Leave it as it is. Say for example, okay, now for example you plant an apple seed, and the next day you want to see how much it has grown. You again dig it. Oh, it's not grown. Again you put it back. Again the next day how much? It will never grow. Likewise, so when you go to see how much the water has become clean, you put a spoon in it and see how much clean. That process itself is disturbing the mind. You getting it? So just don't engage with the thought processes. Don't follow the thought processes. Don't reject the thought process. The moment you reject the thought process, you are stirring the water. You are stirring the mind. The moment you chase after the thought, you are stirring the mind. You will know. The mind will never settle down for the purity to come out. If you really want to see the purity to come out, be patient. Be patient, right? Be patient, because this thought process, which has been in turbulence, for how long this thought process has been like this? Since time immemorial till now. Now for the remedy, we should be patient, right? Just keep observing it with the alertness, freshness of mind, alertness, and getting hold of the mind, mental consciousness, and keep observing it without engaging with the thoughts, without imposing, without following, without rejecting. Simply observe the mind, keep observing it, and then the turbulence will settle on its own. It will take time. On its own, it will settle, right? Okay, now, once you are quite stable with this meditation, then the experience shared by the great saints in the text, one of the experiences is like the thought processes. They're like the different moments. First moment of thought process, second moment of thought process, there's a continuation. There's no gap. With this meditation, once in a while, a gap will be created between the early moment of the thought and the second moment of the thought. A gap will be created because of this practice, not naturally. Because of this practice, once in a while, a gap will be created, instantly it will be closed. Like the two clouds, cloud A, cloud B, always together. With the clouds together, what will you see beneath this? You will not see what is beneath this. Once in a while, there's a gap happen between the two clouds. What happens? What is beneath the cloud? Bright sunlight sky. Sunlit sky is there, very bright. So from beneath, you will see this very bright sunlit sky. You will see that, right? And instantly, the two will close. Now, when we reach that level, then we are advised just to continue the practice. Don't try to make it more rigorous. Just continue this with patience and stability. Just continue this practice. Then what happens is the gap between the two moments of the thoughts will become more and more. Duration between the gap, the duration of this gap between the two thoughts process will become more longer, and then at one point, then the duration will become permanent, which means the thought process is dissolved. Then it becomes like, as though like you are now saying open sunlit sky, very bright, beautiful sunlit sky. So that is analogous to the true nature of the mind, which is so pure, like the water, keeping it still, just keeping it still with patience, but still, how to keep it still? Just keep observing your mind. Just keep observing the mind without engaging in it, without rejecting it. Just keep observing the mind with freshness, with alertness, and with actually the mind there, not like this in a sleep state, which is so alert and fresh, observing the mind. Just maintain this experience. Just maintain this experience. Then all the dirts keep settling, keep settling, keep settling. You getting it? Keep settling. Okay. Then what happens is that this mind, which is the very gross, turbulent, very gross, it will become subtler, 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 cleaner, 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 subtler. And finally, it assumes the subtlest form, the cleanest form. All the dirts settled, and the mind, the purity comes out. Okay, so that is known as the subjective clear light nature of the mind, subjective clear light of the mind. Okay, so next is many people, they engage in this practice and they think that this is the final Mahamudra. and then they will just inspire, they will just instruct you to just continue with this practice. Yes, we have to continue with this practice to gain the stability, but this practice per se is just a halfway through. It is not the full story, it's a halfway through, right? So, if you receive teachings up to this point from any teacher, even that is so precious, but don't think that this is the complete story to take you to Buddhahood. So for the Buddhahood, what we need is the union of the subjective clear light and the objective clear light in union form, right? So next one is how to realize the objective clear light of this very mind, objective clear light of this very subjective clear light. Right? So this is the next part. Okay, it will happen at 3 o'clock, right? After lunch. Okay, so that is even more difficult, and after lunch, I don't know how we're going to catch up. So people spend, say, 20, 30 years on this, and we're going to spend 2 or 3 hours. Okay, lunch break? Yeah.